Our next best practice tip is kind of a silly one, but it's an important one, all right? And that is to clean your lens and sensor frequently. The reason for this is that we're gonna have lens dust, we're gonna have sensor dust, it's just natural, it's gonna occur. The problem is when we're shooting HDR images, just like when we're dealing with noise. Remember when we talked about noise, we're layering 3 images on top of each other. That means if we shoot at ISO 100, it's not gonna look like ISO 100 or the lowest possible native ISO. It'll look somewhere around ISO 200 to 400. If we're at ISO 400, it's gonna look like ISO 1600 or 3200 in that final image because again, we're stacking them and amplifying the amount of noise there. Same thing with dust and dirt on the sensor or on your lens. When you stack these 3 images, while it might not be noticeable in one of these images, you might have a little bit of dust and noise or dust and dirt on the lens. When you stack all 3 of these on top of each other, you're gonna have nuclear fallout noise and it's gonna look crazy and it'll not only look bad, it's gonna take you literally like 20 minutes to fix it per photo because you could have flecks all over the place, okay? So this becomes a major issue with HDR photography. And I would recommend that basically every single time you shoot, when you change your lens on your camera, make sure that that lens is clean before you start shooting. Just not even like don't clean it and then go out. When you get out, well, clean it before you go out, of course, but when you get out to your scene and you place it on your camera, at that point, give it a once over, make sure there's no dust there. It's gonna, that little 30 seconds it takes to clean it there, it's gonna save you 20, 30 minutes in post-production. In addition, when it comes to your camera sensor, if you're shooting often, I'd recommend that you get it cleaned probably anywhere between 2 to 4 times a year. Some general rules of thumb: when you're in scenes that have a lot of dust, sand flying through the air, or when you're in scenes that are very moist, have a lot of humidity, generally do not change your lenses in those scenes because you're asking for trouble, things are going to get in the camera. When you go and you shoot your HDR images, any dust, any grains of sand or flecks of dirt are going to be amplified in your images and it's going to be a pain in the butt to fix. And some of them even might not be fixable because it might be a big grain or a big piece of something that's over an area of the image that has a lot of detail, and that'll be really difficult to fix in post. All right, so in general, make sure your lenses are spotless before every single shot and clean your sensor fairly often as well.